too much, but I also didn't see the order in which everything was picked, but I'm just going to go off the assumption that he's picking Ezreal because he plays it quite a lot in the mid lane, and it is one of his most played champions. Yeah. Ah.
이거 밥 한 채 넣을까?
네.
배고파?
Oh, shit. Okay. Alright, we're good. It's really weird. His clicks don't measure up with where his mouse cursor is. Like, I don't know how to really describe that. It's a little weird. Like, you can clearly see that he's spam clicking here, but his cursor's here. It's really bizarre. I don't know what to say about that, but. What the hell is this? What the fuck? Oh, it's a clothing advertisement. God bless. Okay. Okay. He doesn't have level 2 yet, but that's fine. It's a little bit weird that he opted. It makes it a little bit awkward because his clicks don't match up with where his mouse cursor is, so it makes it a little bit hard to like follow. Okay. He takes E instantly, which is fine. That was interesting. Okay. So this is already evolving into a little bit of a weird game. Mostly just due to how the opening is starting with like Thresh. But it should be fine. 4-man roam. Now, the one thing that is important here is, so, okay. Now, Pantheon, like, let's notice some things, okay? Pantheon comes in like this, alright? Now, one thing that I don't like that Apd0 doesn't do is he doesn't just check on Pantheon, he also doesn't open up tab to check on Pantheon CS or, you know, Pantheon's level. So, that I don't totally agree with, but okay. Now, from here, you get the ping that, you know, they're on the way. Now, this has basically already been committed, like what will occur. And so Apd0 basically is just going to play it as if, you know, like nothing's happening. Now, this is, you know, kind of like whatever. Now, this movement is interesting, like this move back, because I feel like a lot of amateur players or something would probably go into the bush or something, right? But he moves back into the normal laning phase. And the reason that I feel like a lot of players go into the bush before, you know, trying to break aggro or something is because they're trying to bait the people into committing more into a disadvantageous position, because basically, like, the safety zone for Draven and Braum right now is somewhere like this, right? So if he can get Braum to cross this line, like this threshold or something, like somewhere in here, then what's going to end up happening is Braum's going to get really, like, messed up. And so if Ezreal would have gone into the brush or something, it could have possibly enticed Braum to, like, cover like this, which is really bad. But if he just continues to go up, then what's going to end up happening is that Braum probably is going to stay within this area, which is still safe, right, if Braum does do anything. And so now you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, wouldn't it be better for Ezreal to go into the brush and try to get Braum to come into this? And the answer is yes. Technically it would be better. But by doing that, okay, when Ezreal acts in a pretty peculiar way or something, and they know that the mid laner is missing, and they also know that the enemy jungler is most likely inside of their own jungle, then it can probably give away way too many variables. Because basically what's happening right now inside Braum's head and inside Draven's head is basically there's like this checklist that is going on. Like, okay, check Jarvan's in our jungle, check mid laner missing, you know, check, you know, this is going on, okay? And then if Ezreal moves into the brush, which is, I think, like a really giveaway tell at that point in the game, especially given like the angle of the minions and stuff, another check gets added. But by not going into the brush, it doesn't add a check, but it doesn't take away a check or anything. It's just kind of, it's very neutral. So I think that's very interesting. That's an interesting move. Obviously, everything's going to be a little bit different, right? There's a lot of factors that have to be entertained, as well as the player's skill level and stuff, and how they're reading into stuff like this. But China, especially at the highest levels, is actually very known for its bot lane. So I'm probably going to assume this is the thought process. And then he even continues to go upwards, which again, it adds to the safety of Braum and Draven. And again, you have to remember that area that is like their safety zone. And oddly enough, you want to keep them inside of that safety zone because you have 4 people coming. If you had 3 people coming, there would probably be reason to entice them into a danger zone. But you don't have to do that right now. So this was what I was talking about. So like, because they're in the safety zone, it adds ability for 2 people to get them. Now, if this was not, if it was just Jarvan or something, right? Like Jarvan right here, then this doesn't do anything, right? But because it's 2 people, keeping them in this zone, which is the closest distance from the tri-brush, which your 2 allies will be coming from, and by also keeping them inside of this zone, you know that they don't have any ward coverage, they can't predict it as easily. And this is basically the best position to sandwich them. Whereas now, let's say that Braum or Draven were actually down here for some reason, like they got enticed by Ezreal pulling over here, and the minion aggro gets pulled as well, and so the minions change their location inside of the lane. Then if Braum and Draven are down here, they have more time to react to these 2 people due to the line of sight, and because of that, they can hug the wall better, and they can end up flashing and getting away, and the distance that Jarvan has to cover as well as Twisted Fate is greater, thus the overall DPS is lower. So this is really smart, but it's basically it only works if you have 4 people, not 3. If this is 3 people, this doesn't really work. What ends up happening is you have a failed gank that then results in the enemy bot lane having a lane inside of their favor. Unless this Braum was a different variable, like say it's a Sona, a Nami, a Janna, or something like that you can easily just lock up and nuke it. If that's the case, then you can still do similar stuff like this, but because it's not the case and they have a little bit of tankiness and they have a lot of durability, it's not as simple. So anyways, gank completes, he just pushed the wave one last time. He just waits to get the CS and then he backs off and just recalls. Now this recalls, like it's really pointless to really address it, but it doesn't matter. Basically, there is no danger which can come to him, so he just recalls in the lane. If there is possible danger, or there is a possibility that someone could arrive to interrupt your recall animation, then what you would want to do is you want to get to a distance where the percentages go further in your favor before you recall. To basically as greedy as possible with your recall whilst being calculated. So here when he's just walking back to lane, I'm going to be assuming that he's just looking at CS and everything. He also goes Sheen, which I guess I'm kind of a fan of, over, say, like going Phage or something like that sooner. And that's primarily just because he does have a lot of poking power and a lot of poking potential, and the lane is going to be shoved into him, which, if the lane gets shoved into him, because, like, you can decide that from, hold on, from when he buys, right? Like, let's see. Let me just speed up. Okay. So even before, like, he buys the Sheen, okay? Like, alright, so he buys the Sheen, whatever, but you can know, like, where the enemy is, like, in terms of, like, their death spot, right? Like, versus their resurrection or whatever. You can know their movement speed, and you can know how the lane is going to be interacting. Now, obviously, he only has money, he can't get a Phage, okay? So then the question becomes, do you just buy the Sheen, or do you build the components of Phage, and then just go back to lane, etc.? Getting the Sheen in this instance is really nice, basically because what's going to end up happening is if the lane does in fact get shoved into you, okay? And Thresh is, I don't like Thresh doing this so soon, but it's kind of whatever. Like, I'm not going to go over that too much right now. But basically, if your lane gets shoved in to this line or something, what's going to end up happening is the trajectory for all your skill shots are going to be assumed, or they're going to be basically a surety for what you have to hit. Whereas if it was in the middle of the lane, or if you were shoving them under tower or something, it would be a little bit different. When you're on the defensive and someone tries to poke you or harass you, it is a guaranteed spot from which their projectile will be launched against you, and everything is able to basically be, I guess, foreseen a lot simpler. Yeah. This is just that's like really bad error in my opinion. So he gets shoved under, takes a lot of damage. And this is basically what I was meaning, so I'll just go over it really slow, really quick. So, like, if Draven is going to try to harass, if Draven is going to try to harass Ezreal or something, he's basically going to have to stand from, like, a few assumed points, right? And when you can know that the opponent is going to be harassing you from assumed points that you already basically have inside of your head, it's very easy to basically predetermine how you're going to respond to them. So if there's a minion wave, you know, underneath tower or something, right? Shooting the tower or whatever. And you're standing here, or you're standing here, or you're standing here, etc., etc. It's very easy to just pre-plan all your attack routes, you know, for your Q or your W or your E into Q combo or Q and then E, etc. It's very easy to plan ahead. And so that's what I was referring to earlier about the trajectory. Okay, so now they know Pantheon's in top lane. So they know that they have complete freedom. Ezreal also has the level up right now, and the level up's really big. Twisted Fate ulting top lane. I don't know why Thresh just randomly backed off, but that's okay. I feel like Apd0 and this Thresh are not on the same page, but it's just me. Okay, and now what ends up happening is, so basically he opens up tab, and this is kind of like the reset period, where, okay, so now what's going to happen is you have, what, you have 4 minions getting shoved into you, alright? So you're going to have 1 tower shot, and then you're going to have to auto-queue it, just because these minions are already here, or whatever. So you're going to have to let the tower do its work, okay? And then these 3 minions, okay, you're probably going to get like 10 seconds of time. And then what's going to end up happening is the lane is going to reset around here. Rather than like in the direct middle, it's probably going to be about 2 inches northeast, right? Pushing against you, which is going to be favorable. But because it's a downtime, you can take this opportunity to like look at CS, look at itemization, look at, you know, everything, like levels, what, you know, whatever you need to look at, which is what he's doing. And he basically concedes that by backing all the way up before beginning to CS. Now, if you were in a race against time, hypothetically, or let's say that you knew Draven was recalling or Braum was recalling and you wanted to punish and try to shove a lane into tower, then Ezreal would not have backed up all the way. He would have stood around here before beginning to CS, just so that he could stop the wave, so that his reinforcing minions didn't have to stall or delay on their route to getting to the enemy tower. Now here they're basically like slow freezing it, and what this basically does is, so like let's say that your jungler wants to gank, or you want to just have a lane in your favor that doesn't really allow for much resistance or counterplay. What you can do is you can slow CS, right? So what's going to end up happening is this wave is going to bulk up. And then you're going to have approximately 1 3/4 of a wave piling up, and so when you shove it onto Draven and Braum, because it's still so early inside of the game, if Draven or Braum try to reciprocate damage or have a trade with you or something occur while they're getting shoved under tower and while they're being pressured to CS, you kind of have an added spell to your arsenal through your minions. Early on, like levels 1 through 4, I like to call 4 minions one spell, and I think like if you have like 8 minions or something, I like to call it like 2.5 spells, which is a little bit weird, but there's like theory and other stuff behind that. And so by having this many minions, if a trade does occur and Ezreal just keep trying to proc his Sheen and stuff, then it'll be really nice. The other thing that you can factor in here is that Ezreal's approaching 6. And so when he's approaching 6, what can end up happening here is he can bulk up the wave really big, and then he can ult and clear the wave. He can recall, and then by the time he gets down to bot lane, the wave is still in his favor to be the proactive person inside of the lane and the pressurer. So that's fine. It doesn't look like that will be the case. So he's just going to choose to basically poke. This is a little bit weird. Okay, he's going to ward. He sees a pink ward, so Thresh will come over, help him. Shoots a Q at Braum. Doesn't really matter. Braum tries to break the ward, fails. Draven trying to shove back. Now, basically, from this position, now, this is interesting. So what's going to end up happening here is Draven is a bit in, he's in a little bit of a predicament, because basically his itemization is inefficient compared to Ezreal's, right? And Ezreal is about to hit a power spike relatively soon. And what's about to happen is you see these 3 minions, you see the reinforcements are about to arrive, so they'll collide with these minions in approximately 4 seconds or so. And then what's happening is, as you saw, Draven was like looking for room to trade against Ezreal, especially because he had a wave in his favor now. And what's about to happen is Draven's going to continue to have to hit this minion, hit this minion, hit this minion, and then what's going to happen is these 3 minions are still going to be alive, and they're going to be slow in their efforts to kill these guys, so they're going to become a part of the mid wave, or like the back wave, which means that they won't be in the front line. And because they're spellcaster minions, they deal a lot of damage, so what's about to happen is an inadvertent effect where the lane is again going to be shoved into Ezreal in an advantageous position for Ezreal and Thresh. And that's really, really poor for Draven. You can see here that he's still... So everything that you're seeing Apd0 do right now is intentional in terms of lane manipulation. Enemy top laner just used teleport. Twisted Fate's recalling. Oh, he missed one. Not forgiven, confirmed. Alright, so now again the lane is in Ezreal and Thresh's favor, and this is basically a lock, right? So as you've noticed that this situation has come up numerous times, and it's always been manipulated as such. And what basically happens here is Ezreal is basically saying you're on a clock, in the sense that my Triforce is going to complete, and when that happens, I hit this really big power spike that you can't match for a considerable amount of time. And so when he constantly locks the lane in certain positions inside of the lane, and he's a purple Ezreal or a red Ezreal, whatever color you want to refer to it as, it becomes really difficult for Draven to work against that edge and create a gap. And so Apd0 is basically doing everything that he needs to in terms of monetary frontal aggression into backwards passive defensiveness. which is really nice. And now Twisted Fate comes in. Pantheon ulting, they focus everything on Draven. Draven would be the continuous damage from range, like he would be the most reliable, whereas Pantheon and Braum would have to commit to do anything, so it's nice to kind of just isolate and take out Draven. And now when they kill this, I wouldn't be surprised if they just shove this wave and then do Dragon. Azir gets mid lane, kill Scuttlecrab and get Dragon. Kill Scuttle, get Dragon, kill Scuttle, get Dragon, kill Scuttle, okay. Twisted Fate goes back mid. I guess that's actually fine, because there's going to be about a wave and a half, which is okay. Thresh should be zoning Pantheon right now, but not in a way that would be dangerous. Okay. So they kill Pantheon, and Twisted Fate comes in from behind. Apd0's no assist, bad player. They just get the Dragon. Okay. Twisted Fate goes back to mid lane to push because basically you know that Pantheon doesn't have ult, you know that it's going to be uncontested, and you just kind of want to shove the wave into tower so that no one's making any use of the gold, no one's making any use of the experience, and it's just really nice. And now everything on the right hand side of the map is dead, and so when Ezreal goes back to the lane now with Triforce, Thresh doesn't have to follow anymore. Thresh can basically add his utility now to the other laners, and he can provide a lot more map pressure, especially being mid-centric now. And you can just basically let Ezreal 1v2, which is what we're going to see happen. And then once Ezreal begins to get pressured again, and the lane begins to lock inside of this region again, you'll see Thresh come back down. Thresh comes back down a little bit early, which I think is unnecessary. Like, this is really unnecessary. Like, the timing in which he came down, I think, is really poor. I think he could have gotten one more deep ward down to really, really hurt Pantheon. So I think this is really poor. And I think this could have been backwards about 2 inches, and it would have been a lot better. Probably shouldn't use inches. Probably should just use, like, 4.5 centimeters or something. We're not all American idiots. Alright, so... I think this gives it away. I think this gives it away, but I don't know if he read it in time. So basically, this doesn't make any sense, right? Like, they know that you're stronger. Not only do you have the Dragon, but you also have the Trinity Force. They also know that you have Flash, and they're lacking in terms of just overall power and an extended trade. They know that Azir's mid. They know what's going on in top lane, etc. So I feel like this gives away Pantheon, and this is what I was talking about like the deep reward that Thresh could have granted. Because when you get the deep reward either here or when you get one here or something, what ends up happening is it doesn't just shut down Pantheon. It also assists Twisted Fate, it assists him, and it assists Ezreal, which is really important. And I think this movement is actually enough to give away Pantheon, especially because of how random it is. Did Apd0's flash before the Pantheon circle? If so, then he knows Pantheon was coming. No, he didn't flash before Pantheon. Okay. Now Twisted Fate's here just to kind of add assistance. I'm pretty sure that Pantheon knows that that push was just warded. If he was just looking for the animation, it would have been fine. And now, what do you want to do here? It's a little bit bizarre, but it's okay. I don't know if I would trade a CS for or possible CS just to delay a recall. I mean, you can do it in other situations, like in top lane, mid lane, especially like during the laning phase, but to do it at such a peculiar moment, you know that it's not really compromising him because there's no other objective to capture. So sacrificing a CS potentially just to hit him and like stop a recall, I think is really poor, unless someone's like en route to do something to him, or if you're trying to like add fear. Pickaxe is interesting. I still don't actually know who that top laner is because the icon is so bizarre. Let me just hit pause and try to read the item. Wait, what? What the? Triforce, teleport, ignite. Oh, Hecarim. It has to be Hecarim. Okay. All right. Great. All right. So Hecarim. Yeah. Oh, we just would have saw. Okay. If you look really close to people's avatars and you watch their behavior when they're playing, it's very easy to know when a gank's coming, for the most part, as long as you're paying really close attention and they're not very good at deceiving it. Not very deceptive players. Okay. So this is what I meant, like, I don't really know what Draven's thinking. Like, you can't really trade against Ezreal during this power spike, and this is what I meant, like, Ezreal can just kind of hang out here 1v2, and he can farm away, and even when Draven does finally catch up in terms of one item to match the power spike, he's going to fall behind in another. And so it's just really bizarre that, like, Braum wasn't there with him, just trying to force down the tower really quickly, especially because they already had the 1-up over Apd0's team in terms of the mid lane tower. I would have liked to have seen either heavier rotational play, bot lane, or what I've wanted to have seen is more basic collapse in mid lane with more players to kind of basically say to Apd0 that he can't just sit there and bot and continuously farm. Especially because Dragon was down, there would be no incentive to just have him basically lock freezing a lane in bot lane. Some people might argue that getting a lot of CS in bot would be okay, but for the most part it wouldn't be if there were 4 people knocking down mid store or something, especially when the top lane was already down and the mid lane tower was down. Jarvan ends up getting the kill there, and Jarvan ends up dying for it. Now, Malphite's gonna get the top turret, which I think this is an overall better trade. Like, this teleport here is a little bit weird. I don't really like it.
밥 먹고 불고기 해놨어?
그래요. Okay. Is the mic going to shit? I'm unaware. I am so sorry. I really don't know what's wrong with the microphone. Oh, okay. It was after stream freezing. Okay, that's fine. Mic's not good. Alright, wait. Okay, wait 1 sec. Does that work? Hopefully that's better. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so Apd0 going full carry. Ace. His build order is a little bit weird. I guess he just picks up the Vant Scepter because extended trades are going to begin to happen. And when extended trades begin to happen, especially like if they begin clashing in mid lane, the lifesteal is going to be really crucial because he's not going to be getting it through other means. And so you have to pick that up at some point. I don't agree with the last Whisper second. I think that's a little bit overkill. I would have liked to actually have just seen him go into Blade of the Ruin King. Considering they have a Hecarim and they have a Pantheon and they have a Braum, I think going Blade of the Ruin King would have actually just been superior. Speak of the devil. Well, okay. Well, he completes Last Whisper before Blade of the Ruin King, which I don't totally agree with because I feel like their armor values aren't going to be high enough for most of the targets that he's going to be hitting. Even though he will mostly be hitting Braum, if Braum elects to jump in front of people, once the trade begins to extend further and further out, because Twisted Fate is in fact inside of the team, it's not like Ezreal is going to be the center of attention completely. Like, having Blade of the Ruin King here, I think would be better than having Last Whisper. But it's okay. We're just gonna slow this down. I'm gonna watch this in slow-mo, the way that you're supposed to watch fights. So the one thing is that you'll notice is that in between each command that he issues, before the command even goes off, he begins issuing another command, which is really important. And that goes back to the DIing stuff that I always talk about. That's a pretty bad misfire. Holy crap. Okay, Twisted Fate's gonna get that. Alright. So it's not the absolute worst outcome, but it's certainly not, you know, the best. There's definitely stuff that Apd0 could have done better. So we're gonna go through that really quick. Okay, so he's trying to burst down. See, this ultimate's a little bit bizarre. Just basically to the angle, which he angles it. So let's try to get the exact frame. Oh, what? Okay. So, if you launch from here, if this is your runway, right, like, you can probably assume that Pantheon will actually move up, right? Even if Pantheon doesn't move up, there's still too much wiggle room, you know, to like really hit him. Braum will probably get hit. Hecarim, I think if you factor in like everything, I'm not really quite sure. Like I think it would be a little bit more efficient to angle it slightly like altered to potentially like zone out Draven even more and zone out Azir, and still hit the targets that you're going to be hitting. And the issue is, however, I mean, you can't really factor this in the heat of the moment. A Scuttle Crab might get hit, which sucks, but whatever. Oof, Braum Shield, really nice. That really sucks. Just like the positioning and everything really sucked there. If you analyze it on an entire team perspective, like there's a lot of stuff that can be talked about. But if you're analyzing it only from Apd0's perspective, I'm not really so sure. We can just look at his retreat one more time. This, I feel like if you look at his face or something, you can shoot the Q in this area, and it's almost guaranteed to hit, but he doesn't. I feel like he can stand here and he can Q and get an auto off, and then his W is going to come up too, and then I think he can even go like this and continue to kite at this line. Okay. Alright. Speed up. Alright, he's getting frisky. Oh. See? If only he had Bork. No. Alright, Twisted Fate salvages. And so now he just opens up tab to check everything. He sees that Thresh is here, so Twisted Fate goes back in. Ooh. It's a little bit interesting. I definitely don't agree with it, like what Draven did, trying to be really greedy there, but it was definitely interesting. And now Ezreal goes Zerker over Ionian. And I can understand that, basically, because, again, it goes back to the Twisted Fate stuff. Constantly just opening up tab. So you're going to take blue from TF? Okay. Alright. I'll take Gromp because there's really nothing else safe to do. This is something that if you're an AD carry player, you need to be doing it. If there's nothing really safe for you to do, and in solo queue you really have to care about yourself, especially if you're carrying. And when I say, carrying, I don't mean you think that you're carrying because you have 4 kills and 2 deaths and 3 assists and you have 116 CS at 30 minutes. No, I mean if you're actually carrying the game, then just literally farm everything you possibly can. And then distribute it, in a positive way back into your team. That's what carrying is. Carrying is not just killing everyone and winning the game. Carrying is distributing the gold that you've amassed through your outplay ability over the enemy team and distributing it evenly throughout your team somehow through whatever manners you can to basically allow your team an impossible way to fuck up. There's some quote that's like coming to my mind. I don't know the exact wording of it, but basically it's something like if I twist it and relate it to jungling, it would be that you must present your laners with a gank which cannot be messed up, or basically it cannot fail, and that's your role as a carry. Obviously he's not jungling, but you apply it to situations that are just part of the game. So anyways, okay, so if you're a random viewer right now and you're watching this, okay, and you're thinking, well, how can I improve, my AD carry or something? What you need to do right now is you need to basically sit here and be like, okay, if this is me, I'm clicking here, or I'm clicking here, or I'm doing, I'm whatever, right? And then you compare it with what you're seeing in front of you. And then through that, then you determine, like, okay, is what he did better or what I would have done better, And that's how you end up finding stuff. I don't like this. I don't like this shot onto Pantheon. I think this shot on Pantheon is, it can be assumed, but it leaves something up to chance, whereas I feel like hitting Braum would be guaranteed. Sometimes it is risk versus reward. Now basically what he does here is the teleport's coming in, he knows Twisted Fate is able to be in a safe angle somewhere within this zone, and he's trying to get to his teammates so that he can be behind the peel. And with Malphite coming in here, he'll have 2 peelers here, he'll have the main peeler coming in, and it will create an inadvertent flank, where Ezreal becomes the king in this situation, and this is a very, very nice situation to be in for AD carry. Like, basically, all he has to do is somehow, like, literally, like a baby in a rocking chair or something, like, just kind of swing between and find good spots to auto. from here, what I'm gonna like to see on his E, depending on basically it depends on a lot of things. What he could do is he could E here, like he can continue to poke down Hecarim, and then he can E here and he can R forward, and the trajectory would hit fucking everyone. Or let's see what Apd0's do. So he doesn't E, he doesn't R. Thresh plays. Twisted Fate got zoned out. Now he R's. Now this cluster is very ugly. And this is why I would have liked Ezreal to just have had a more linear focus rather than being all over the place. Apd0's like my fucking team. Like that's Apd0 right now. No, I'm kidding. Alright. Okay. And this goes back to some of the stuff like why I would have preferred that he have Blade of the Ruin King here. Well, had he prioritized it over Last Whisper. Do they get they get Baron? Did they get Baron? Yep, they have Baron. That's really bad. Okay, so we're gonna skip forward a little bit. And now, what you need to do as an AD carry in this position is literally, and no one likes to fucking hear it, you farm. And that's it. You farm, and you farm some more. You farm until Pepper Ridge Farm remembers. Okay? Like, that's what you need to do. That's all that you do. You farm this, then you go and you eat this. Our Wraith's up, you eat that too. Or Wolf's up, eat that too. Is Fox your mid laner? You eat his CS as well. Is Gromp up? You can eat that. Bot lane accumulating? Your mid laner really needs it? No, that's all yours. You eat that too. You know, you eat everything you can. Like, that's all that you need to do in this situation. Basically, when Baron is up, this is all that you go to. See this? This, you know, like half moon or whatever, or like whatever the fuck you want to call it, okay? This is it. This is all that you do. So many times in solo queue, for some fucking reason, you know, someone gets, you know, a little adventurous, you know, maybe they got some new makeup on or something, they got some fucking new clothes and they want to go out to the club and, you know, they just wander off like around here. And then they die, and then what happens is, LOL, support noob, and it's really bad. So, that's what ends up happening. Alright, so... Ow. This is just really weird. Like, I don't know why he's really standing out here. This just seems a little bit bizarre. The ult was really nice. The Q on to Draven was okay. His election to begin fighting Braum is kind of okay. He does get Braum's ulti out of him, which is not the worst. And basically what he's trying to do down here at this point is he's just trying to demand attention, because if he can even take 2 or 3 of these people and force them off into this like nest, it provides so much utility for Twisted Fate inside of this area, and then he has so much utility with his E and his flash, like being able to go into wolves or even being able to get to this gate or pull backwards. So there's so much like stuff that he can be doing. Draven's like, I'm fed now. God. Okay. And so now what ends up happening is the enemy team, so they just get mid inhibitor, and then how do they back off? They all just recall at once. Now this is really smart. It's not as bad as if Baron were still up or something, or if there was another major objective still alive, because typically what ends up happening is this thing I like to call, fuck. What happened? The mic died again? I hope that's better. I don't know. I don't know why the mic keeps dying. I'm so sorry. Okay. Does it work? I don't know. Okay. Just trying to demand attention and then kite away. Oof. Well, oh, he almost love shotted Braum. That would have been okay. Now Baron, like this fight is, it's really sad. That sucks. Now he has Bork, so he's hit his 3 items, which this is really. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I thought like they were just gonna not get Dragon. That would have been really bad, but Draven has it. Now it takes Scuttle Crab. Like boosted. Okay, let me check. I know there's somewhere else that it gets boosted, but I don't know exactly where that is. It's like a decibel thing, but I don't know where to locate it. Oh god. No, Jesus Christ. I thought it was in here, but apparently not. Yeah, this isn't it. There's somewhere else in the computer where you boost it. I don't know where it is. Okay, we'll do that for now. Jesus. Fuck. It's not this, right? Yeah. No, I know, I just don't know. Yeah, the real tech, 10 dB, 20 dB, yeah, exactly, that's what I'm, like, looking for. I know that it's on here somewhere, but I just don't know where. How sad. Okay, well, we'll wrap up, and then I'll figure it out later. Okay, so now he's just going to get red. This is a bit of an interesting spot because Baron is eventually going to be coming up. So what you want to do is you want the side, you want to determine what is the safest side away from Baron, and then you want to lock it. Or if you have incentive to split push, or if you have split pushing power, which can actually go up against or match Baron, then the side which is safest from Baron you want to kind of like temporarily freeze, and then nearing around Baron's approach, then you want to unlock it, or you want to like clip it. Sucks here that Thresh got killed. He just autos a minion here to get the Trinity Force passive. He tried to hit Hecarim, he didn't. This is going to get really ugly. He's dead. That sucks. Really bad. That is like the opposite of what is good. Viva la resistance. Alright, so accuse him. Ezreal's gonna come up soon. Nice ultimate, that was really nice. Now all he really needs to do is just kind of get in here. The Q's really nice though, onto his ear. Ease over the wall. Kill Pantheon. Clear this out. Now what I would want to see is like one person shove down bottom, and then you have like the majority of people shoved down mid. You let top get shoved into you. You prepare Baron, you recall, you eat the major wave at top tower, and you push against it. And then you have 3 lanes pulsating in your favor. And that would be really nice. Entertain Baron. Just shove this wave, and then prep Baron. Keep shoving bottom. Shove bottom 1.5 more waves. 1.5 more waves, shove bottom, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. God damn it, Malphite! Didn't need to recall just now. Oh my god. What do you really add, Malphite? Tell me. What do you actually add? You add 500 damage? Is that what you... Holy shit. Malphite being there, like, right then, I think is bad. Actually, no, I don't think it's bad, it is bad. He could have applied a lot more pressure bottom, and then he could have showed up for when he was needed. Oh, Apd0 tried to go for... Nice ace. Don't do Baron. Top. What are you doing? What am I watching? Twisted Fate gonna ult in? Maybe that's what they're saying? I don't know. I can only see them doing Baron here if Twisted Fate's gonna ult in. Is he? They have no fucking damage. Jesus. Oh my god. This is interesting. Basically, they got the chunk off. That's a really nice ultimate. So now all Ezreal has to do is he has to basically kind of stand Like, what he needs to do is he needs to be slightly in front of Twisted Fate to demand attention, but then at the same time, he has to also be able to get at a distance that separates himself enough from Twisted Fate to where they can chain combos. No, Malphite! Draven, yep. Okay, so now I think, how many people are dead? He's not tabbing. Depending on how many people are dead, I don't know if I like TF being here. Like, yes, he adds a lot of damage and stuff, but if Baron could have been cleared while simultaneously also pushing in mid to prepare for Dragon, I think that would have been a lot better. Like, if this mid wave was already dark and the enemy team doesn't know if you're recalling or if you're just blitzing Dragon, that's really, really, like, dangerous for them. Especially because you know that all the focus was on the left-hand side of the map for the past 5 minutes, so it's very safe to assume that unless they have pink wards on the east side of the map, it's very unlikely that there's any sort of wards. So anyone venturing into that side of the map is going completely into darkness, which means that they will be basically having hesitation. No, okay, you got him. Here, I don't like the extended fight. I think just get the fuck out. Like, you got Hecarim, just get out. Just get... Apd0, please. Holy shit. You have Baron buff, you have Baron recall, just get Hecarim, get out, reset, top shoving into you. Oh my god. What? Infinity. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about the Infinity Edge purchase. I can understand it, like, if the game wasn't looking the way that it was, but because they're about to go into a sieging posture, and how everything's about to develop, I think Bloodthirster is the superior item 100% of the time. Not 100%, more like 90% of the time. If he's completely confident in his team not butchering or messing up anything, and he also thinks that the enemy will act on them, the enemy will basically force an engagement or something, Infinity Edge can be okay. But basically, with how these fights are all going, the utility coming out of Bloodthirster would just be way too big to give up. Again, this is only one game, right? So I can't solidify stuff like as fact or whatever in terms of his reasoning or. Oof! Fuck. That was like a trailer for the upcoming movie San Andreas. Wow. And now, basically, you can notice that he's just kind of following the fight, and I'm pretty sure that if he thinks that there's something that other people aren't doing, or maybe if he's seeing an indecisiveness, you know, he can kind of add opinion to it by spam pinging someone, or, like, spam clicking. Okay. Looks like this game's about to end. So let's get mid inhibitor, and then what I would like to see them do after getting mid inhibitor is collapse downwards. Don't even shove that wave. Don't shove that wave. Don't shove the wave. No. Okay, so as 4, basically go down, get this, and then go here, and then recall, because you know that they can't catch up to you. And then Apd0 goes top, he begins shoving this. They're gonna shove, what the this goddamn shopping outlet thing for female clothes. Anyways, Apd0 shoves this in, they shove back mid into you, bottom will get like slight shoved back, and then basically what this means is you're gonna have one wave shoving, This wave will shove backwards into them once the reinforcements collide, probably around here. And then you guys can just reshove up mid, escort, and then go top. And Apd0 can do all that. So the enemy team launches an assault against these two inhibitors, and they're successful in capturing them. So it takes a little bit of pressure off them. But basically, the next fight is the decisive one. Apd0's aware of that because he's going into Guardian Angel. And basically, with how these team fights are playing out, and with how the champions coordinate during the extended team fight, getting a Guardian Angel really does basically fuck with everyone because everything is so centered and focused, like when the fight does break out, that it becomes very problematic when you know that someone's going to resurrect in an unfavorable spot that you don't want to be in anymore. Like everything basically has to be like done and dusted as soon as it ends. I don't know if that's actually fake or an Apd0's chat, but... Okay. Oh jeez. that was awesome. Holy shit. I don't know about erecting Shurima there. I think it's gonna get raised way too fast. Decisive fight's going to break out relatively soon. Basically, what the enemy team is doing right now is they're just constantly applying pressure to the two open wounds that Apd0's team has. And basically, oh wow, they got the snipe on Hecarim. Oof. Just gonna get the red buff. They really have to play off this death timer that Hecarim has right now. Shoots the Q into the bush. You can't ever really be too safe. The thing is that if someone was going top lane right now, though, you could just look at the minions and see if they were given Baron buff, and that would be fine. That would be more than enough info to know if someone was like in the Fog of War, a little bit northwest of the location that he shot. What would be the best thing that they could do right now would probably be just wait for the enemy team to basically overcommit to a fight, capitalize on said fight, and then ram down mid. Basically, like, Apd0's team at this point, they don't need to do any more fancy stuff like getting bottom inhibitor or top inhibitor. No, that's basically over. All they need to do is win a fight with like 3 people remaining, one of which is either Apd0 or Twisted Fate, and they just need to literally bulldoze down mid while entertaining Hecarim's home guard and entertaining Pantheon's ultimate on the wake up. That should be game. Braum getting caught. Pantheon drops to his death. Yeah, there's the Guardian Angel, and this is what I was talking about. It's very, very poor. Okay, and so now this is exactly what's going to happen. Basically, just neglect bot lane, neglect mid, just shove down mid. Apparently, the stream that Apd0 was using is dying. Now they have Ezreal, so Twisted Fate doesn't really matter. The Hecarim? Yeah, I think that's Hecarim. I don't think it's really too much of a concern. They just kind of send Thresh back, and Thresh can easily hold off. Yeah, Thresh can hold off at the. Alright. Oh, okay, Malphite's just gonna. Okay, that's really nice. That's really, really nice. And I'll just end the game. GG. Whoa.